Hello. Hello and welcome everyone. So we're starting now. First of all, thank you for joining us today in our Skillshare for this year on the second Skillshare for this year on the topic of the newly launched OSM Community Forum, which is accessible via the community.openstreetmap.org. So I'm very glad that the OSM Community Forum has finally launched, since my colleague and our speaker today has been working with OSMF on this since last year. So before we start, I'd like to introduce our group, Humanitarian Open Mapping Community Working Group. So we're a group who are dedicated to the support and engagement of community groups and contributors aiming to leverage OpenStreetMap data. So if you're interested in joining us, you can find more information on the OSM Wiki, bit.ly/CommunityWG. And some reminders and house rules before we start. So the webinar will be live streamed via YouTube and also will be recorded. And please abide by the hot code of conduct, be welcoming, be respectful, be careful in your word phrasing and tone. And when we disagree, try to understand why. So our program structure today, it will be 1 hour or 53 minutes to be exact, which will have a speaker presentation and also discussion and questions. So if you're in social media, please use the hashtag OSM Community Forum to share posts regarding this. So yeah, with that, I'm happy to introduce our speaker today, Mr. Ruben Martin from Spain. So Ruben is HOT's Community Strategies and Research Lead, working to support the humanitarian open mapping movement by building strategies and initiatives based on good quality data and research. So he has been supporting open source communities for more than 16 years. He drove and implemented strategies for Mozilla's multi-stakeholder product and technology teams, including Mozilla Support, Common Voice, Mission-Driven, Mozillians, Firefox Packet add-ons, and localization, which resulted in a significant reduction in cost, expanded reach, aligned collaboration, and increased contribution. So let's welcome Mr. Ruben Martin. And if you have any questions, you can go to the link that you can see on your screens, slides.app.go.gl. We'll put that in the chat. So yeah, over to Ruben.
Hello, everyone. Thank you, Arnalee, for the presentation. Just checking that my volume is looking good. Okay, so welcome everyone, and thank you for being here today. The way I want to structure this call is to be less of a presentation and more of a walkthrough. But first, what I want to do is to kind of like explain a bit more how we got here and what are we talking about specifically. So I think at the beginning of or mid-2020, the OSMF was evaluating some of the tools that the community was using, and basically understanding that some of the tools that the OSM communities were using to provide support or to talk through the forums were a bit obsolete, and even the software was not updated anymore. And that was a risk for the security of the users and security of the data, etc. So it was clear, and there was a process there where different technical communities were talking about what to do with the help OSM and forums.openstreetmap.org, right? And at the beginning of 2021, at the same time that I was also joining HOT, I saw these conversations, and since I had some experience in the past with other open source communities to transition to more modern communication tools, and in this case, I also had some experience with Discourse, and I saw that OSMF was evaluating Discourse. I offered my time to support through this transition, and basically I started working with the OSMF operations working group to figure out what a transition would look like. And you would ask yourself, okay, why this course, right? Why this decision was made in the first place, right? So I'm sharing my screen now. I hope you all can see. Just so basically, there's a topic right now here that is describing a bit more of the history of what I'm talking about. And basically, as you can see here at OSM, different communities use different types of communications, from mailing lists, IRC, Mumble, web forums, OSM help, diaries, blogs, the wiki, etc. And as I explained, it was clear that there was a need for modernizing some of the tools that were obsolete and cannot be updated anymore. And basically, the OSMF operations working group took the decision to go forward with this course. And as I said, why this course, right? And I want to start this conversation talking a bit about why this is a good piece of software and why it might be useful for all of us. And then we can then jump to talk about how it's being used by OSM right now. And also we can go walk through how to use this course, right? So let's start talking a bit on the software and why this is, in my opinion, a good choice that the OSMF operations working group took last year. So basically, this course is a modern platform for conversations. It's not the typical web forum that everyone is used to and have been using since the mid-90s, right? And one thing that I think it is important to note here is that this is not intended to be a replacement for chats or IRC or other chat similar platform. It's a supplement, right? And when I say it's a supplement, what I mean is that in addition to chats, it is also a good practice to be inclusive with the people who don't have all the time in the world to engage in the chat or the telegrams or IRC. So we know that usually these chat groups have a lot of volume, a lot of messages, a lot of conversations. And unless you have a lot of time during the week, you might miss a lot of stuff that is happening, interesting stuff to you. And it's difficult to go back to conversations because it's not really well structured. Many topics are happening at the same time. Just imagine the people who only want to devote like 1 hour or half an hour during the week to do some mapping and want to know what's been going on in their communities or at the global level. Going through a chat is really difficult. And that's the reason why other types of communications, in this case, what we are calling asynchronous, so you don't have to be online to follow, you can follow at your own pace, are really, really interesting and are very helpful to be welcoming with different types of people with different times availability. So as I said, this course piece of software is not the usual forums. In forums, you are used to go to a place or a website where you have many pages of topics or many pages of different messages. The way that this software is structured around conversations. So basically, you don't have pages. You can scroll down and everything is loading as you are used on the social media, where you don't have to click on different pages to load the content. So it's very agile experience. So the navigation is really pleasant, and also there's something interesting that you can search for conversations that have happened in the past, and you can easily find all the context. As the example I was saying, like if you do the same on a chat, yes, you might find where the conversation has started, but it's difficult to find out if someone a month later replied to that and what happened so far. And so that's one of the main things for this course compared with other web forums. Also, the good thing is that it is also optimized for mobile. So we are used to web forums that if you're on your phone, which is most of the times for a lot of people, it's difficult to follow a web forum. You don't know, you don't get like the content right. It's difficult to read. And there's a few things that also this course is helping a lot. One is around notifications, right? You get notifications only about the content that you care about. So you don't get a lot of noise. You just get notified as a web app or like the mobile apps you are used to on only the things that you care about. Maybe you only care about your local community. Maybe you only care about a specific topic within your community, or maybe you only care about 3 or 4 specific topics that are being discussed, right? We are used that in other forums and in mailing lists, you have to subscribe to the whole thing, and maybe like 50% or 80% of the content is not relevant to you. In this case, this course allows you to subscribe just to the things you care about and only get notified about the things you care about. So for example, you can subscribe to a specific subforum, you can subscribe to a specific tag, like maybe you are into hiking and you only want to know things about new topics related to hiking, or you are only interested in a conversation that is happening right now about an event, and you will only get notified about this. All of the good thing is like there's no need to create new accounts. You already can join the conversation with your OSM login. This course allows to easily plug into other login systems. And in this case, OSM login is fully integrated and you don't need to create a new account. Your account will be used and you can log in on the forums directly. As you can see here, there's like many things, nice things about, as I said, notifications. Also, the way the UI is structured is very clean. It's not distracting. There's not a lot of things on the screen. It is optimized for reading and to understanding who's replying who on a conversation. It is optimized for mobile, as I said. It is also optimized for rich content. What this means is that you can have images, videos, emojis, mentions, badges, set up pools, etc., in a very modern way that we are used, as I said, in other platforms like social media. The other thing that I think is very interesting about this course is what is called the trust system and community moderation. What this means is like people are rewarded by using the platform and by engaging with the community. The more you engage with the forums, the more privileges you will have to be able to help, for example, with the moderation. What this means is like people who has been very active in the forum can easily flag content that might be off topic or might not follow the guidelines, and this automatically hidden by default if your trust level is high. How you earn trust level is by using the forum, not just by posting, as we have seen in other forums that you get rewarded if you post like 1,000 topics. It is more about your engagement, how many days you visit, if you get likes on your posts, if you like others, if you read, if you post, etc. So it's a combination of those, right? And as I say, community moderation is very important because everyone is accountable for getting the forums in a good shape, right? Everyone is responsible and everyone can flag the content that should not be in this forum or has an issue in this forum, right? And this involves spam and also abusive behaviors and others. Obviously, you can define moderators, you can define global moderators, but also you can define sub-forum moderators. So local people can moderate their local spaces with the help of the community. Another important aspect of this course is that it's 100% open source. What this means is that OSMF has been able to self-host this course, so the data is owned by the OSMF. The data is safe and under the OSMF control, which is also important for a community like OSM, where we care about data and data ownership. But you might wonder, what if I'm an email person? I don't want to go to a website. I don't want to have an app on my phone. I just want to use my email. The good thing is that it is optimized for email. If you are an email person, you can follow, reply by email, and even enable what is called mailing list mode. So basically you will engage with the forums like a mailing list, right? And you will get everything by email. Even you will get like a weekly or monthly, depending on your preference, summary of the most top conversations, the conversations with most interesting topics that you have subscribed. So as you can see, there's many things about this course that are very well thought to engage into healthy conversations and also optimized for different types of people who might prefer different types of channels to follow conversations. I will be sharing with you a YouTube video, which is a more deep walkthrough about this course. And we will be doing a walkthrough this course in just a few minutes. Now we are going to be jumping into how this course is being used at OSM with an example of the forums who are already online. And then we will go through how to use it. But if there is any questions specifically about this course, the software, I don't know, Arnalee, if there are any questions specifically about this section, we can pause here, take some questions, and then move on to the next section.
There's actually a question on the board. Mm-hmm. So I'm not sure if, is this course largely intended to replace the old mailing lists?
So the answer is no, and now we are going to be talking about that, about how is this being used by OSM. Is there any other questions, or we can jump to that section?
Great. As of now, that's the only question.
Okay. So basically the initial plan for these forums is to replace help OSM and forums.openstreetmap.org. That's the main thing. That doesn't mean that cannot be used for more things, but that's going to be the primary focus right now. Obviously, we want to, like everyone wants to have a space. Here we'll be able to request it. So as I said, the first thing is to move the help OSM into this help and support space here, and we want also to move the country specific all forums into this specific communities space, right? But many people have been engaging during the past weeks into what else we can do with this. Basically, this is intended to be owned by the community and to serve what the communities need, right? And that's the reason why if you go right now to community.openstreetmap.org, you will see there is a welcome topic here, which is translated in a few languages too. And basically so the people who were involved into this, so the OSMF operations working group, as well as myself and others, we kind of like created a group to move forward this transition and this launch. And basically what we said is like, we want this to be an open conversation moment with the communities to understand, okay, what is next, right? Now we have a tool, we want to migrate help OSM and the old forum, but what else, right? And there's a few questions that we have been talking with communities, right? So what are the initial categories we want to have in here? Which communities would they support? How we will handle conversations in other languages? What are we going to be doing with location-based communities and conversations? So there's a few questions here that people have been engaging. And as a result of this, there's some initial decisions into the most immediate next steps. So the most immediate next steps is that communities will have the possibility to request a category. And let me define, a category is like a subforum. So that's the definition, like a subcategory. Help and support is a category, communities is a category, site feedback is a category, and inside site feedback, we have a couple of subcategories, right? That's the definition of this course, like subforums and forums. So everyone has now the chance to go here into new category requests and go through the process of requesting a space for their community. There's a few questions here about why this is needed, who are the people who are going to be using it, etc. So all the communities have now the possibility to request a space here, which might be location-based. So for example, the users in my country, but if the community thinks it's also needed, communities can also request a space for language. Let's say you want to have a space with different countries who speak the same language, and the community decides that this is a good thing to have, so they can also request a category for the language. And I suspect other communities will start requesting, maybe not just location-based and language-based, but we will see other OSM communities which are around a specific topic and who have a lot of volume of messages and conversations to be requesting a space here, right? As I said, communities will have the possibility to request a location or language-based category. Already, it is possible here if you go to this place. Then the other thing that I think it's important to note here, and that's a conversation that has been happening through the past weeks, is that by default, the new OSM etiquette guidelines will apply to these forums, unless the community has other guidelines that they want to apply, right? So if you remember and you have been following the other past sessions that we have been doing at the humanitarian community working group, there's been some new guidelines on OSM that were developed as a result of feedback from the community, and many of you were involved on that. And this was applied to the OSMF and OSM talk mailing list initially. And for these forums, they will be applied unless there's another guidelines the community has already in place, right? Obviously, this is my personal opinion. Like, I think the OSM etiquette guidelines are really good for having a healthy space, but local communities know what works best for them, right? So if you already have your own rules or guidelines, you can apply that to your space. And if you don't have none, you can just default to the OSM guidelines, and that should be fine. There's some ongoing proposals right now being discussed. For example, there's a conversation about using a plugin to translate the content, as we have been using on the community working group Lumio. So people can go into a conversation which is in English, click a button, and get that translated into their language. So that's something that is being evaluated. The other thing that is happening right now is there's a few people testing the migration from the old forums. And that's already happening and should be going through this month to be able to migrate all the content from the old forums. And I've seen other conversations, interesting conversations, like, for example, like people might want to use Discourse capabilities to set up pools for voting, because you can easily create pools on Discourse for people to vote. And some people were discussing about, is this interesting for the tagging discussions, right? When there is a need for a vote. So people are evaluating that, because, as I said, Discourse is bringing a lot of capabilities that are useful for many types of use case, right? So that's how OSM is using right now, or plans to use the tool. Is not set in stone. As I said, this is a conversation to have with communities, and that's the reason we want everyone to be involved with the conversation, because that's going to change, right? If the OSM communities think they need to use the tool in a specific way, or they have a specific requirements, that can change, and that's part of the process that has been open, that the community has ownership and can influence the decision on how this tool is gonna look like. So I'm gonna pause here to get some questions about how OSM is using right now Discourse. And then after these questions, we can jump into a demo on how to use the tool itself.
Yes, so if anyone has questions, feel free to raise your hand. But while we're waiting for people, there are two new questions on the board. I think you've already mentioned this, but just to ask this question again, is this replacing the OSM forums?
So
Maybe the
yes,
help.
this is gonna replace forums.openstreetmap.org, because as I mentioned, the software is no longer maintained, and that's a risk. So basically right now the process and the decision has been made after discussions with the users on the forums is to migrate all the content here under communities. We will have all the communities and country communities from the old forums. And the same goes for help.openstreetmap.org, that will be transitioned into this category to ask questions, etc. For mailing lists, currently there's no processes taking place, but I know some communities have been asking themselves that they might want to migrate their mailing list here, because this is more modern, is more optimized for people nowadays. And since they can follow through email, the people who want to follow us on mailing list, they can follow us on mailing list, and the people who want to get the advantage of all these modern features, they will be able to do so. But right now, I haven't seen any decision being made from any mailing list to migrate here yet.
Great. So another question, is it open for the public, or certain set of accesses will be there?
So it's open for everyone. And as I say, you can just log in with your OSM account and you are ready to go.
Okay, great. And one last question from the board. How does OSMF or the community forum team plan to mainstream this tool and encourage contributors to interact with the community?
So I think right now, once the help and support is migrated from the old site and the old forums, I think what I see here is that it's going to be organically being embraced by more and more communities as soon as they realize the capabilities of the tool and how this can help the conversations in their communities. More and more communities are going to be organically requesting space here, because as I say, I think this is really key to be able to welcome people who might not be right now really comfortable just by engaging on Slack, Telegram, IRC, because as I said, maybe they don't feel comfortable about the volume of information, they are confused about the volume of information, they might not have all the time in the world to be online, or maybe they were not online when a conversation happened. And I think this is a good supplement to the chat, because what I've seen in other communities happening is like, maybe on the chat, there's things happening here and there, and there's been a discussion. But once that discussion is over, someone goes to the forum and say like, hey, by the way, we have been discussing about this. These are like the 3 or 4 opinions. What do you think, right? Allowing other people who were not part of that discussion over Telegram or the chat or IRC or Slack to also get involved. I've also seen other communities using this as a way to be more inclusive with people during the meetings. As you can see, what we have done with this meeting is that we have posted, and Arnalie has posted a topic here for the meeting. So people before the meeting were able to comment here. So Arnalie shared this. So people were able to engage before the meeting. Now we have a moment during the meeting, which is live, which is synchronous, that we can ask questions here and there. But after this meeting, we will be able to post some of these questions or opinions or input into this topic. And people who might not have been able to attend or don't have the time to go through the recording, they can see the notes here and put additional questions. This is helping to get people on board into this conversation through the forum, right? And I think that's another powerful thing that people are realizing, and I think more people will start using this because they will see that they can reach out to more people using this kind of tool.
One more question. Is it okay?
Yeah.
Just a question. Does Discourse integrate well? For example, is there any potential future opportunity for building Discourse in Tasking Manager, for example?
Yeah, that's another great advantage of Discourse. Like, it has a ton of community and open source community developing plugins and integrations with many tools. And I think there was some information about here about the official plugins, etc., and the API. So there is a very powerful API to integrate with other tools. What I've seen myself is that there is already an easy integration with WordPress comments. So replacing WordPress comments with Discourse. So basically, you go into a WordPress site, you put a comment there, but basically under the hood, you are using Discourse, and it is published on Discourse forums directly. So I think it would be pretty straightforward to, for example, integrate with the tasking manager commenting system for the projects. Each time a project is created, it can be created a new topic on a specific category on Discourse. And I've seen many communities replacing their internal messaging systems for different tools using Discourse as a background, as a backend, sorry.
Yeah, thanks, Ruben. Anyone would like to ask question using voice? We actually have new questions coming in. Do we ask, or do we answer questions now, or would you like to continue with?
There's a question from Brad from the chat.
Yeah.
How does affect Discourse with interested parties outside the OSM community? I don't know, Ralph, if you want to clarify a bit more about what you mean by affecting.
Yes, I work with Portsmouth University, and they do a lot of research work into drone usage with regard to disaster management. They also run a disaster management course at the Portsmouth University. How would I invite one of their academics into a discussion that may be of interest to them, but they're not actually a member of the OSM community?
So basically, the topics allows you to kind of like invite people into a topic. So you can send an invitation to someone to participate. And basically, when they try to log in, they will be asked to create an OSM account. The same way, so instead of creating a forum account, you will create an OSM account that you can use for many places. So anyone can create an account directly here and participate and follow and get notified. The only thing is that the workflow, instead of just creating an account for the forum, you will get redirected to OSM, you will create your OSM account, and you are done, right? You will use that to log in on the forums and get notifications, right? So you can share this. Since everything is public, you can use this to advance some topics. And I suspect that there's a lot of people like thinking about this, right? I'm doing drone mapping for this specific thing to support the open community in disasters. I can create a topic here on the general discussion, and I guess once we see there's a lot of conversations. Let's say we have a ton of conversations about drone mapping. Maybe the drone mapping community say like, hey, can we create like a separate category for drone mapping discussions, move everything that has been happening on drone mapping here, so people who would like to talk about drone mapping can go in here. I see that as a very interesting opportunity for people. Now that we are going to be talking about how to use it, you will see how easy it is to organize the content and move around and grow organically the conversations. Okay, any other questions?
Yes, there was a lot of questions coming in. Another one, does it allow interaction with other communities? I think you've mentioned this, but would you like to expound more?
Yes, of course, right? Since once we start seeing communities, categories popping up here, you will be able to engage with different communities, see what others are doing, etc. So I think it's one of the good things about having a place here is that you share a space with the rest of OSM communities, right? So you will see, you might see other interesting conversations that you might have missed if you only are on your mailing list, right? You don't know what others are doing. And here is very easy to discover what others are doing, or what are the hot topics happening, hot as in popular topics happening right now.
Great. And these are two questions, but are related. So the first one is, will there be any open invite for boarding people to know how to use this? And the other one is, does it have guidelines on how to use it for new users?
Yes, and that's what we are going to be talking right now, just after these questions. Yeah.
Okay, and I think one last question. Will we be able to see map relay challenges posted here?
Sorry, come again?
The map relay tool, but yeah, I'm not sure if. So map relay is a tool used by community members or contributors.
Yeah.
So I guess if people will add their category there,
yeah, so
they will be able to post.
So people are asking questions here the same way as they all help.openstreetmap.org, or people will be asking questions about many things, about tagging, about tools, about whatever, right? And I guess, like, if there is a specific topics with a huge volume, right, it would be worth to consider creating a subcategory inside, for example, help and support, or about a specific tool, right? So I think this will grow organically as we see more and more people asking questions. Right now is free topic. You are not constrained. You can ask about anything about OpenStreetMap or open mapping, and the good thing is that people will categorize your question with, for example, map relay, or I don't know, street complete, or any other tools, right? So I think we will see how this is growing based on the kind of topics that people will be posting. So there's no restriction. The answer is yes, you can post it about it. Okay, I'm conscious of time. I think. Sorry, Aaron.
Yep. So I think we covered all.
All right.
We covered all the questions. So
all right. So let's move to how to use a tool, right? So basically here you will see that I'm already logged in. If you are not, you will have a click on here to log in. You will be redirected to OSM. You log with your OSM and you will be back here on the main page. As you can see, I want to start just talking about some terminology. As I already mentioned, there's this category concept, which is basically the different spaces that we have here are the categories. There's also the concept of subcategory, which means categories inside another category. This is a category, this is a subcategory. A topic, which basically a topic is an individual thread in here, an individual topic in here. That's what it's called, topic. A post is a reply or a message inside a specific topic. And then something really interesting about this course is that enables the capability to add tags to the post, right? So as you can see here, when Arnalie has created this topic, she has been adding some feedback requests, site tips, and events, right? So if I go to site tips, I can see all the topics in any category who are getting some side tips on how to use Discourse, right? So for example, extended search on Discourse, seeing the messages I want to see, tips for power users, how to use votes, etc. So one of the most interesting things about this course is what I mentioned, like notifications. You can see here next to my username and profile picture, I get notifications about the places that I'm following, right? When someone likes my comments, when someone replies to some of my topics, and you will see, okay, how do I get notified, right? How do I set notifications? So when you go into a category like help and support, there is like a bell here on the top right, where you can select different types of notifications. You can be watching. What that means, it is describing here. You will get notified about any new messages here, and you will also get an email, right? Notification. So if you are not on the forum, you will get an email notification about any new messages. You can be tracking. What that means is like you won't get an email, but if you go to your unread count, you will get here unread. You will get everything that you are also tracking in here, but you won't get any emails directly. You will see here. You can also watch only the first post. So you only get notified about a new post being created, but not all the replies. You might like to be this. The default behavior is to normal. So you only be notified if someone mentions you or replies to the message. Or you can mute conversations so you don't get notified about anything in this category. So I think that's very important because that's the way you kind of like subscribe to a category. As I said, you can subscribe to categories. You can subscribe to tags. So for example, if I go to this topic and go to side tips tag, you will see here that I can subscribe and get notified about a specific tag. Not, in this case, it's not a specific category, but any post in the forums with this specific tag, I will get notified on the level that I want. And you can also decide to be notified on specific topics. So you might not be subscribed to the help and support, but there is a conversation here that you think it is interesting, right? So basically, basically you can subscribe to this specific topic, right? And only this specific topic. You don't have to follow the whole category. You don't have to follow everything that is, for me, that's one of the pain points of mailing lists. I go to a mailing list and then I have to receive hundreds of emails that are not relevant to me. If I go here and I'm just interested in a conversation that is happening about how to tag a rock garden, I can just decide to track just this one, right? And just this one. That's pretty interesting. More things that you can do here. Let's go through how you can post things, right? So you can go into a category or like here, and you can create a new topic. You will get prompt with this editor. You will be able to put a tile. This is a test topic. You will be able to select if this is the category you want to post it in, or choose another one. You can add additional tags. You will get the most popular ones. And here you will get an editor where you can paste images, you can paste links, and you will get a nice preview, etc. So for example, let's say I want to put something in here. You will see how by default, the system is also identifying that my topic is very similar to other topics because of the title or because of the content. Probably someone else have already posted this link elsewhere, and this is notifying me this. I might say, okay, I'm okay with that, and I can move forward. So here you have a rich editor, which is based on Markdown, but you will see the preview on the right panel, right? You can also add links by selecting and publishing a link, and you will see the preview here. You can also copy paste an image here directly, or drag and drop an image directly into this box. And there's emojis, there's, well, everything you might expect. You also can have pre-format or quotes. Well, you know, right? There's many things. And there's also like building a pool, or we have also enabled what is scanned replies for helping the people who are replying to help questions to have some of this. You can also post a specific time in your time zone and will be translated into people's time zones. You will click create a topic and that will be created. You can save the draft for later. That is very powerful. Let's say you don't want to publish right now and you want to keep it for later. You can do that as with emails or keep editing. Let's discard this one. Let's go how you can reply a topic, right? So for example, here, Arnalie has been posting this, so I can reply directly to the topic, or I can reply specifically to this message. One thing that I think is very powerful is that you can quote specific parts of the message. So I can select this, click quote, and I will get a nice quote here. So I reply only to a specific part of someone's message, right? For me, that's very powerful. Once you reply to a topic, you will automatically be watching that and you will get notified if someone else replied to that topic by default, right? Let's say I'm not following this topic specifically. Once I reply, I will get notified, right? There's also reactions, so you can react with likes and other types of reactions here. You can also, as I said, you can flag individual messages. So if you think this needs attention from moderators, you can say this is topic, is inappropriate, this is a spam, this is something else. This is very important for encouraging people to participate. You can also defer a topic, which I usually use because I go into a topic, it's very interesting. I know I want to reply, say like, oh, I don't have time now, I need to move. So what I do is like I mark as unread to tackle later, or even easily you can bookmark specific topics. So if you can remind yourself about this, or put it a name here, need to reply, right? And maybe I want to be notified tomorrow, right? So if I go here and I go to, if I go to bookmarks here, I've saved this for later. And tomorrow I will get the notification, hey, you said you want to reply to this and you haven't, right? More things that that you can do in here. So as you can see here, you also have private messages, right? So basically you can message other people directly. You can edit your profile and put a description in here. There's also badges system. So basically by using the system will reward you for doing specific activities, and also will move you through the different trust levels. So once you start with level 0, and once you start using it a bit more, you will get promoted to level 1 and then eventually to level 2. What that means is that, for example, you will be able to flag posts, you will be able to invite by email people, you will be able to post more than 3 links, which is a spam protection measure, so people cannot create an account and post the spam directly. That's really powerful. In terms of search and discoverability, I think this is powerful because there's a very advanced search system here. You can search by tag, by a specific term, even if it's just one word, right? So for example, if I search for voting, I will get everything related with this really quickly, and I can like do an advanced search. You can also filter by tags, as I say here. I want to just get all the topics who were tagging as tagging. So they were talking about tagging. You will see most of them are on the help and support. You will see that this has an unread message here. So I can go in here, or I can know that I have an unread message from all the topics. So I click here. and you can follow here. You see that you can mention people. So let's say you open a conversation and it's talking about something specific. You can mention someone, and this person will get a notification even if this person is not following the conversation, right? And in this case, it's very useful to say, okay, there's a conversation about this specific, and I know someone has the expertise, or there is a conversation, let's say, about validation, right? And I say, oh, maybe Ralph or can chime in here. So I will just mention Ralph username, and he will get a notification about this specific topic. As I already mentioned, you can also filter by the most popular things during the month, during the week, etc., and follow all the things that are happening. Another thing that I think it's really powerful when reading is if you go to here, you will see that topics which have a lot of replies have kind of like a summary here, right? You will see the most popular links without having to scroll down and read all the stuff, how many people have been interacted, etc. So that's for me, that is really powerful because it saves me a lot of time, right? To be able to go through all of this stuff. And obviously, when people reply to others, you can see the context. So this person is replying something, but it's like, I'm not sure who's this reply for. If you click here, you will get the context. Oh, this person is replying to me here. In this case, I usually use a lot on quotes to be able to put some context on what I'm replying to. And as you can see, there's also really easy to split topics into different ones. So let's say that there is like 5 or 6 people talking about something unrelated with this. It can be moved to a separate topic for avoiding noise. You can merge topics into other topics. So it is really useful to recategorize and move things around for moderators and so. And I'm conscious of time, so I'm going to pause here. There's a lot of things about this course. I'm going to be sharing like a more advanced tutorial about this. If you go to new users, how to use this forum for new users, I'm going to paste this into the chat just right now. So here's an official guide for all the things that can be used, all the terms, everything that I've been going through, how to use the navigation tools, how to use the related topics, etc. So there's many things you can do here. But I want to pause here in case there's some questions about how to use the tool. Yeah, Arlie, I don't know if there are additional questions about how to use the tool.
Yeah, so we only have 1 minute until we reach top of the hour. But there are 2 questions. First is, can regular users delete posts? Just a yes or no.
You can delete and edit your own post. Yes.
Okay.
Yeah.
Your own post. And another one, if I start a category or conversation, what will happen to that if something happens to me and I am no longer able to be actively involved? Example, if the title needs to be changed.
Moderators can help with this. So moderators can edit the titles and move things around if needed. Before everyone leaves, because I know people have to jump into other meetings, I will invite you to at least reply and test that you can log into the site, go to the Discourse link that Arnalie has shared with you, and just like Arnalie, because we like Arnalie and everything she's doing, but also reply with your questions or reflections or input about this new tool over here. And I can also reply a few more questions if we already have some.
Yeah, I don't think we have any questions on the board, but if anyone would like to ask questions via voice, you can raise your hand and unmute yourself. Maybe we can extend for 1 or 2 minutes. That's fine. Also posted the link to the Discourse or the community forum thread that is showing on your screen. It's in the chat.
Geoffrey.
Oh.
Yeah, thank you. So a question. We do have a forum for if you want like to use Discourse as OSM Africa under this Discourse. Do we have to, because there is already a category for community, like will our category be under community, or it can be an independent category on its own? Yeah,
it can be both. I think once you request the category, it would be evaluated what is the right place for it. I think in general, the communities will fall into communities, but if the community is that big that it needs their own subcategories, etc., it can be moved later into what it's called top level, so in the front page, to have their own subcategories, right? That's the good thing. Like things can be moved around without any issues. So you can start by having a space here under communities, which is called OSM Africa, right? And if you realize in a month or two, oh, there's a lot of volume, we would like to have also categories, we can move OSM Africa to be a top level and then have subcategories, right?
Great. One last question on the board. How can an OSM community use the forum to discuss topics specific to their community? Do they create for a subcategory under community, or else they create their independent category?
I think right now, what we are recommending, as I said to Geoffrey, is to request a new category. And if it's a community category, it will go under communities, but you will have your own space. It doesn't affect that you are under communities, because you will have your own subcategory and people can subscribe just to subcategories. They don't have to follow all the communities around just yours. And if in the future your community grows a lot and there's a lot of volume and you require to have your own big category with subcategories, we can move you to that.
Another question came in. Does it have any restriction to new users?
There is just a few to avoid the spam, but as soon as you start using the tool, these restrictions are removed. So for example, you cannot post 3 links directly as your first message because that's suspicious. But once you start reading the site, once you start posting things and etc., you will get quickly promoted automatically by the system and you will be able to do more things. But there's just minor restrictions to avoid abuse from spam and bots and so on. But if you create an account, you can create, reply, and do the most of the stuff without any problems.
Thank you, Ruben. No more questions on the board, but any other questions? We can do 1 more minute. Just raise your hand if you have any pressing. If not, you can go to the link that Ruben has sent to the chat on how to use the forum for new users, and or comment, post your questions in the Discourse thread that is showing in your screen. I also added or shared the link in the chat. 30 seconds for questions.
And as I said, like, feel free to post any follow-up questions that you might have into this topic that Arnalee has created. And also feel free to share with your communities and invite them to post their own questions and to evaluate if they want to have a space in here, because as I said, this is very interesting because it's unifying all the conversations about OSM and sharing a space with all of our OSM colleagues.
Great. I think there's no more questions. So yeah, thank you everyone for participating or attending this webinar. The video will be shared. We recorded and we're also live streamed. We'll share it in the Discourse thread in the OSM community forum. So yeah, why not practice now that you've seen what are how to use Discourse and why use Discourse? Yeah, maybe you can practice. Just start a comment on my thread, and then after that, try to also post anything under the communities or start a new subcategory for your community. So with that, I think we can adjourn unless, Ruben, you have final words to say?
No, just to appreciate everyone's time to be able to be here to learn more about. And again, like, feel free to ask any questions afterwards. More than happy to